it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are focusing in a little bit more in depth on a covert narcissist personality manipulation tactic, and that is really their passivity, passive aggressiveness, and lack of initiative. Initiative is when someone is able to take responsibility. Initiative shows up in leadership when one is able to stand for something, stand for values, stand for enforcement of rules, stand for guidance, stand for leadership. Initiative is the power or opportunity to take charge of, and it originates from the Latin initium, which means beginning. So oftentimes the covert narcissist, in their overly self-important ways, will cease taking initiative when it comes to relationship responsibilities or requirements with others. We see this very docile, passive, undermining way with which they're very retreating and do not really step forth in relationships. So they exist really as a very passive ploy of having others take all the responsibility, initiative, and really take on much of the burden that is part of a relationship. And I want to say relationship work. So, for example, being decisive, having responsibility, being accountable, having direction, and being able to make decisions, the tough decisions that are required in relationships. Things that we invest in, where we live, where our kids go to school, guidance for our children, being there for them to be a role model, being there to be a positive example. Oftentimes we don't see these proactive initiative steps coming from a covert narcissist is because they are so aloof, they are so withdrawn, they're so retreating into their inner world, really that is more of a fantasy world, if you will. A fantasy world meaning that they tend to just, shy away, introvert away, covert away from responsibilities and fulfilling the needs of others or giving just due respect to others. Acknowledgement, validation, eye contact. It's as if they dole out their attention like it is, has to be earned. It has to be proven. One has to jump how high to receive their acknowledgement. So it is in this very sort of covert sense of superiority that they will only dole out a greeting, a pat on the back, a acknowledgement, a verbal, as if their verbalization, you are starved for attention from them. Especially as the relationship grows, it becomes a very, it creates a really sort of air of tension. It can be very palpable. And, this covert narcissist will create almost like this sense of pity, or that there's, something that that they have this woundedness or this hurtedness that you can't really approach them about because they're so cocooned in their narcissistic ways. So it's very self-protective, very self-ingratiating, as if, they can't come out and greet you or be there to interact with you in relationships. Creates a very, very stonewall, very difficult, very, very painful relationship with these types of individuals. So it's very difficult to prove. It's very difficult to articulate when this individual just doesn't have initiative. It's more an abuse by withholding or an abuse by just lack, and an abuse by, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's an abuse by just disregard. It's an abuse by neglect. So, and this oftentimes creates a lot of discouragement, dismay, a lot of unhappiness with these people because they're just so lacking of initiative. They're just not able to originate this sort of what they need to contribute to the relationship. So it's just like there's a withering away. There's this very strong and palpable neglect or lack of respect. And in relationships, you need to have a rhythm. You need to have a back and forth. There's an interdependence. There's a initiative, a sense of accountability between one another. And if one is, forever just, shutting down, just falling into the resources, of an abyss, just backing off, backing off, backing off. They're just not able to step forward and articulate. Then this can become, it becomes an undue burden, an undue pressure, an undue stress for the other in the relationship to become more responsible, more accountable. Everything has to rest on your shoulders. So that's how we see the seeds of discontent, and then the codependency, where it really becomes all about attending to them, taking care of them. A lot of people describe their covert spouse as like a little child. It's like having a little child that you constantly have to check in, attend to, see how they're doing, fix their clothes, fix their dinner, fix their room, guide them. It's just like they never really kind of grow into the more mature aspect of the relationship. So this creates the codependency, where really your whole aim and focus then is always about them. And so it can be very lopsided. It can be very, it's kind of like you feel like you're constantly then, running on empty, because you constantly have to attend to, be overly responsible, take more initiative, and it's, for the relationship, to get things going where it should be and to keep it on track. Whether it's, you or others involved. So it can become very stressful, and it can become a real breakdown. It's more than one, a family is more than one person can handle. So, if they're not keeping their weight of the family responsibilities, so it becomes very imbalanced. And oftentimes people do need to step away from a covert narcissist in order to really have balance in their life and really make it functioning. It can be very dysfunctional. And a lot of people, then it creates this sort of passive aggressiveness, where then it creates a lot of hostility and anger and rage in the partner of the narcissist. Just kind of like, wake up, it really ends up pulling out the really worst or lower nature of people who are involved with them. So, if you see this lack of initiative, a lack of accountability, lack of responsibility, oftentimes this is coming from a sense of entitlement and a heightened sense of self-importance and superiority that the covert narcissist just does not feel that is their place, that really all their only role is to do A, and they shouldn't have to be involved in B, C, D. Yet, that is a natural, organic part of a relationship, and they just don't see it. So it's very difficult to make progress with them if they don't feel like they've done anything wrong. They're just like, it's just all about me, and that's all I've signed up for. So it's very difficult for them to get to see where changes they need to be made if they don't feel that they have done anything wrong. So that's also a hallmark of a narcissist, is the lack of empathy. So they just don't want to validate your needs. They just don't feel it's their role, their job, their place. They don't feel that they, should have to go there or do that. And they're just going to live in their self-centered world or universe. So if this has become toxic for you, let them go, fast from them. Don't continue to feed them and enable their narcissistic ways. Go on a fast, release them, let them go, no longer participate in those toxic interactions. Don't allow yourself to go off the deep end and become rageful, angry, hurtful. Just stop right there. Don't let that become the worst part of you. Don't let that pull out the worst of you. Allow now the relationship to bring out the best of you, and learn to be accountable to yourself, accountable and declaring of your boundaries, and realizing what you won't tolerate. And it's okay to own your truth and take root of what you feel you deserve and your vision of a positive future moving forward, so you're not falling into really the endless abyss or the endless neediness that a covert narcissist is going to require. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.